man. It's Dukes and Bell today. We're waiting on the Dukes portion of the Dukes and Bell program. He's at the doctor right now, but we'll jump in with our pre-show here on Twitch and YouTube. We call it Behind the Curtain. We let you know what's happening on today's show, and we talk about some of the stuff that happened last night. Day, our producer Damian Lewis, Orrin will be back at the ranch in Midtown pushing the buttons. Start off with the Hawks, and it was good news, bad news. Good news is we finally got to see Jonathan Kuminga, and he looked great, and he was killing it, and he was, 27 points in 24 minutes. But because we can't have nice things, Jalen Johnson goes out with a hip flexor. So that was frustrating. Also, Trae Young. Now, I wasn't at the arena, but Day, you're saying there was no particular tribute for Trae? They just showed Trae on the screen.
Yeah,
got a long,
put him up on the screen. Yeah, and he got a little teary-eyed a little bit and, lots of standing ovations. And then later, late last night, he actually tweeted that he's still unsure of his feelings, but he's basically got a lot of love still for Atlanta. So.
Right.
Pretty basic cool. Last night.
Yeah, man. Keep it classy. Keep it moving. I mean, as we said, it's just, we've covered this over the years, how they should have helped Trae, Trae's maturation process, things that aggravated me and Carl earlier about Trae that didn't aggravate me later in his career. And then, as we said, some of the events beyond his control. And then Anseh Saleh having the guts to say, look, we're not winning anything with him, so we'll move on and we'll try to reset. But part of the reset is Jalen Johnson. And again, this is a hip flexor that can be a week or two, hopefully less. I know because I'm dealing with a hip flexor on an almost daily basis because I'm old. But Jalen's a guy that has had some nagging injuries. That's why we're so excited to see him finally become an all-star and basically stay healthy. Last night, though, the story, as we said, was Jonathan Kuminga. Look, if we can ever get a point guard here, whether it's through the draft, and we think it could be, or free agency, Jalen Johnson with Kuminga and adding some size in the front court, whether or not Okongwu stays or not, with Dyson Daniels and maybe McCollum off the bench if they're willing to pay for it. That's a pretty good package, but we got to find the point guard. Everyone says when I get on Quinn Snyder Day that you can't really nail it on the coach because he doesn't have a complete team without really having the true ball distributor with all these athletes. You buy that?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that a little bit, but I understand where you come from because he's had his, he has had for the most part some complete teams, that maybe they felt like all those pieces didn't necessarily go together, but he has had an opportunity to do something with some, in a sense, a complete team. So yeah, to that point this year, no, hasn't been complete. The big three we thought we were going to have, we never got. I think it ended up being a total of 40 some odd minutes that we got total of Porzingis, Trae, and Jalen Johnson being on the court together. So, it was obviously, Anseh and the staff realized like, look, we're not going to get that big three that we thought we were going to have. So let's move on. So to that point, sure, let's give Quinn, we got 22 games left at this point, Mike. Might as well just let them, see what happens. And then get into it next year. Hopefully they make some key offseason moves that make sense, especially with the draft. And then maybe next year we're talking about a Hawks team that's, constantly in the top 6 of the bracket.
Right. Because right now, again, with the play-in package, we are, the 9 seed? So, again, we would play what? That would be Orlando, right? Or no, it would be us in Miami.
No, it would be Charlotte because they're a half game behind, yeah.
Right. And then Carl Dukes joins us, the man.
Hey, man.
Where are you at? Are you at an undisclosed location? You in the bunker? Where are you at, man?
I'm at an undisclosed location. Yeah, man.
It's Paradise. You know that show, Paradise?
Yeah, I was watching
that show.
Yeah, I finally got into it. I was getting a season late. Carl jumps in. All you missed, we were just talking about good news, bad news. Jalen Johnson goes out with a hip flexor while Kuminga looks like a rock star last night.
Look, if this is the Jonathan Kuminga that we're getting, Mike and Day and our audience, we're on to something. The problem was he was inconsistent in Golden State. And I'll be honest, he hit 3 or 4 threes last night. That's not his game. But if he feels like, hey, I'm going to make this a more part of, what I'm doing, Mike, he becomes dangerous. His game, guys, is what you saw early in the game. Slashing, cutting, finishing on people. That's what he's great at. And, Mike, I think, look, if Jalen, and when Jalen is available, hopefully this is not a big deal, dude, there's some real promise here. But can I address something else that I don't know if you guys talked about? The tribute for Trae was too long. It was too long, okay?
So this whole thing, tribute.
Yeah, well, they showed a video and he's crying. I mean, look, I don't know if it was just them introducing. I got to talk to Tigger about this because I heard Tigger introduce him and then everybody went crazy. But I had heard there was a video that they played. I don't know how long it was, but look, I'm not killing the Hawks. We knew this was going to happen at some point. I just didn't think it would happen with him not in uniform to really give him the appreciation. Let him take the floor. Let him be out there and everybody's, hey, Trey, we love you. But either way, he was emotional about it. And at the end of the day, Mike, do I think that Trey really wanted to be traded? I don't. I think he wanted to try to win here. But it got too contentious, and all of a sudden, management had to make a decision that a lot of people thought was the right decision. But the previous management, they didn't have the balls to do it. So now, you had Trey in a no-win situation. They don't want me. Hell, I might as well go ahead and get traded. And it is what it is. But with that said, I know the game last night, there was a part of that for those who saw it. Daddy, I know you put the video out there with the video, or at least them acknowledging him. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have acknowledged him. Understand. I'm just saying this whole tribute thing has gotten crazy in the NBA. That's all, Mike. You're showing the guy up there for 8 minutes, and no disrespect, he's never won a championship.
Carl, you unsentimental bastard. How dare you? Look, we know when Trey got, that we thought the reaction might have been a little bit more heavy. There were people that, again, every slight, anything we said about Trey, get off his back. And it's like, guys get into hero worship in this town. And I understand that because he was one of the best Hawks that we've had. But at the end of the day, accomplished nothing. Look, the ECF, like we said, get the Eastern Conference Championship. Yes. And then I said, in his defense, they didn't build on it. They didn't put money into it like they should have. They made stupid moves. Like, again, DeJounte Murray, that's not on Trey. The only problem I had is Trey goes, remember, the history, guys. If you don't believe us, you can look it up. Nate goes to Oklahoma City and say, hey, man, management wants to bring in DeJounte. Are you cool with this? Because we're going to have to restructure the half court. You're going to have to move without the ball. Trey goes, I'm in. And then he never committed to it. Yeah. So that kind of that compounded what was a bad idea from, we presume, Nick Ressler's son and whoever else thought that was smart.
And real quick, the only criticism that really got under his skin was when Nate got fired and Mike and I went in on him not being a responsible leader, which led him to call Mike a hoe on social media. Okay? Honest to God, that's what happened. Now, with that said, fast forward, I'm working at what no longer exists, which is going to be FanDuel, and I'm getting a chance to visit with Trey about how he handles some of that stuff, and I'll share it with you guys. Like, he knows he made mistakes as being the face of the franchise and the way that he handled things. And that's what I said. The Trey Young we got at 19 is not the guy that is right now and with the maturity that he has at this point in his career, that's the unfortunate part, Mike. We're not going to get a chance to see that mature Trey and what that could have been for the Hawks. We saw the immature Trey, who was a really good player, handle situations incorrectly. And so with that said, man, that's my only beef about last night, but a great win for the Hawks. And look, Kuminga, let's ball. Let's go.
Right. Yeah. The only thing, like you said, moving forward to the next chapter, whether it's going to be, Darren Kennedy, whoever they're going to, Peterson, I should say, whoever they're going to go with as far as their point guard. I mean, a taller point guard would help. I mean, because Trey became a defensive liability. That was, we wanted to be Golden State East, and it just never, came together. So more on that coming up. We'll get your reaction about, was the tribute too long? Carl says, enough. He's gone. Dead to Carl.
Well, Carl, I'm going to tell you, man, I'm glad they got it out the way. I'm just glad they got it out the way.
No. Day was part one. Part two comes Thursday. Because remember, guys, we don't do back-to-backs. The Hawks' momentum loss is the Ritz-Carlton of the Four Seasons and Magic City's game, as the Wizards are in town for another 36 hours.
That's a great point. We'll do part two because that's what the NBA does. By the way,
right?
NFL doesn't do this. Not like this. They don't do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
It's too soon in a lot of these cases. Like, I'm not saying Trey Young would never deserve a tribute.
Right.
But I mean, at this point, let him play another 6 years.
Right.
Announce he's retiring, and then when he comes to Atlanta, boom.
I guess Carl wants to take down Dominique's statue now, since he didn't win anything either.
Come on, no. Dominique is still the best player in franchise history. Period.
Right.
He's still the best player. But here's the problem with the Hawks. We're still talking about Dominique.
Yeah.
We have never had the next star to take his place that elevated this franchise in this city to a point where Dominique was second in the conversation. He's still first. Nick hadn't played a game in 25 years.
It's like being a Jets fan. It's like being a Jets fan still talking about Joe Namath.
Yes.
Joe Namath.
Mike, that's a
Right.
great point. So that's the only deal. But no, man, look, Nick deserves all the love he gets. But if we talk about this, 10 years from now, Hawks fans, keep it real, right? Let's not cap about this. It's
Right.
Trae Young who's second right now with this franchise as far as all the things that he accomplished, points-wise, assist-wise. Dominique's still the best player that has ever put on Atlanta Hawks uniform.
Right. And again, guys, we've had 2 ECF champions. We went to the Eastern Conference Finals twice. We had that 60-win team in the 2014-15 season, and half of our fans can't even remember the starting 5 on that squad.
Mike, it was an enigma. That
Right.
team was an enigma. I mean, you're right. I mean, who was it? Kyle Korver. Let's do
It
this
was
real simple.
it
Who
was
it?
Al
Korver?
Horford was on that team.
Okay.
Paul Millsap was on that
Millsap?
team.
Who was the point guard?
Jeff Teague.
Teague, that's right.
Teague.
Because I used to
Right.
get mad at Teague for not
Yeah.
playing as
Was
well
that
as he could.
what's our guy with the dreads? Was he on that? He was on that team too, right?
Well, yeah, Bazemore was Bazemore was off the bench, but
No,
it
no,
was
no,
Damari
the-
Carroll. Damari Carroll was the junkyard
Carroll.
dog.
Yeah.
Of course, Kyle Korver was the shooting guard.
Yeah.
And then, it just like sort of a sum of its parts type team. Good
How did
defense
they
from
win
Thabo.
60?
Yeah, Thabo Cephalosha. And then we got greased by LeBron. Then they went through, it was like poop through a goose. That's the game where Dellavedova, that little Australian creep, was hanging on to Al Horford's leg.
That's
Remember
right.
that one? Yeah, it was like,
That's right.
Anyway. So there you go. There's your 2 Eastern Conference Finals
All right.
in
I'm
Hawks
sorry.
history. Yeah.
I took us down a road that I
Yeah.
probably shouldn't have, but I just had to address it.
And then Trey trips on a ref's foot. You know what I mean? It's like Atlanta. All right, man. Also, you missed it yesterday. We spoke to Kevin Stefanski, Steakhouse, spoke to Ian Cunningham, the general manager. What did you get? And we'll talk more and get more reaction. But I like what I'm hearing from Stefanski. This is not a knock on our previous regime. I just like Stefanski's no nonsense. We are going to find out about Michael Penix Jr. Meanwhile, ESPN, they got Penix on the cover of ESPN.com. Week 1 quarterback predictions. Is Michael Penix Jr. job secure? Which, of course, our audience will see. And a lot of hype about, we're a pretty good team, but the quarterback situation is in flux.
It is in flux. And, Kevin Stefanski yesterday, we'll talk more about this today on the show. I don't want to say he was non-committal, but he was pretty much non-committal. I mean, I'm going to read you the answer he said to a question that was pretty direct yesterday. And as much as I'm with Mike, I look, all these coaches, there is a certain amount of bullshit, all right?
Mhm.
All of them. But at the end of the day, for the fan base, for us, we feel like we've been jerked around in the ATL for a while. And it's just like, dude, just be honest. Just be upfront. That's why I'm digging what Ian Cunningham feels like he's got a plan.
Right.
Whether you think that's from Matt Ryan or not, I don't give a damn. The GM is speaking. He feels like he knows where he wants to go. The head coach yesterday, I mean, he didn't hem and haw, Mike, about any question that we presented to him. I'm like, dude, you don't want to call plays? And he's like, no, I'll explain to you guys again. He laid it out. I just feel like that's what we need as a fan base. Again, don't misunderstand us. It doesn't mean, Mike and Dede, that we're going to win 11 games or 12 games this season. What it does mean, though, is we don't have to feel like we're being shafted and misled, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be certain things they're not going to be able to tell us. For example, Penix is not ready, Mike. They're not letting anybody know. They can't.
Right. We talked about Caden Ellis. A lot of guys are like, man, you let Caden Ellis go out, you'll lose at 107 tackles walking out the door. I just think they feel there's a lot of linebackers out there. And at 31, maybe he's not a guy they feel married to, despite Jeff Ulbrich saying he does the work of 2 men. So, but he was, the fourth. I asked him about Flacco. He was going to say no, but he said, yeah, but Flacco did a great job for him. He talked about that in Cleveland. Flacco seems to make the most sense. But yeah, I mean, the more people look at it, Adrian Peterson was like the best, quickest return ever from a knee. That's not going to be Michael Penix Jr. because the work and the torque on the other knee, you know how it is, Carl. Guys always seem to jack up another leg working on the other leg. So
compensating.
Right. So I don't know when Penix Jr. is coming back. We've always assumed it was mid-September, maybe later. I don't know. That's why I think it's as much as we want to be excited about the new regime, there's still that little bit of hesitation because when you don't know who your quarterback is, it just takes the wind out of your sails.
Let me ask you guys this though: what makes more sense? Because if you are still unsure of what Michael Penix can be, more so because of his injury history and not necessarily his talent, are you looking at this draft class for a potential? Because again, if you bring in a Flacco, that's not long term.
No, it's not. Yeah, look,
Right.
I saw Drew Allard's going to throw in this combine. Okay. He's going to throw. For those who don't remember, Penn State season-ending ankle injury. Okay. Drew Aller was having a decent season. I don't know if Penn State was going to turn their season around because James Franklin had gotten fired. But the point is, this was a guy that was high going into last season on a lot of people's boards. Then he gets hurt. If you're telling me, Day-Day, that we should take a flyer, Mike's brought this up late in this draft, and you go, all right, who's left? Okay, I'll roll the dice. And look, it's a hit or miss. You don't have to hit because you're not taking him in the first round. But if you hit and you bring him in and all of a sudden he impresses you, maybe you feel like that's somebody that you can help grow. And like I said, you've got some protection. The Flacco thing is not long-term, even though I do agree with Mike on that as well, that I think he probably is going to be the best option. I don't want to trade for a quarterback and have to give up picks, guys. That's the thing. Right. That makes no sense when we don't have to do that. I'd rather take one of these bums, all right, that's potentially out there, Russell Wilson. Guys the guys have just passed it. And do that rather than give up picks and make a quarterback.
Right. Now, Drew Allard, if he comes out last year, he's probably a top 15, top 25 pick because he threw 25 touchdowns, a good quarterback completion percentage. And then, as you said, last year, Penn State just went and he was part of it and he got hurt. Yeah. So, but again, I just think after what and I'm not saying you, Carl, but I got starry-eyed, we're going to have a Russell Wilson. And I probably oversold Desmond Ridder. The odds of finding your starter not in the first round are so long. Jalen Hurts was a second rounder. Obviously, if you're lucky and you're the 49ers, you get Mr. Irrelevant. And it turns out Brock Purdy turns out to be the guy. But that is the ultimate outlier. So you take like the Dolphins have Quinn Ewers is down there, right?
He is.
I mean, we'll see what he does. But it's you got to temper the expectations. But I'm with you. But I don't mind. I don't think it sends the wrong message to anybody. I think you just maybe try to take a flyer on a guy. Maybe you evaluate pretty well.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm going to say this. I know we're up against it, guys. Arthur Smith said to me that he thought that Desmond Ridder would be able to handle it. And he's watching him at practice, and he's watching him go through the drills, and he's watching him. And, Mike, what we didn't know is when those lights came on, he couldn't handle it. Yeah. And so that's a coach's evaluation of he can run the plays. He knows what we're trying to do. He can do what I'm asking him to do. Lights come on, different animal. Different animal. We saw it. So that's the thing. It's like, whether you're third, fourth, fifth round, it's the Brock Purdy thing. Can he handle it? Lights come on. All of a sudden, you see what he's about. That's what we missed with Desmond Ridder. And I also think he was so damn afraid, as you're talking about this, Mike, to make a mistake because he played timid, and you can't play timid. So
no, he's on eggshells, and that's all she wrote. So we'll cover that. And again, also Ian Cunningham agrees that the Bears should get compensation for him, just not from us.
Should he have said that?
I don't know. I mean, just being loyal to his old boss, I suppose.
That's what I'm wondering.
I mean, hey, no skin off our back, but it is just because you follow the Rooney Rule and you see it through. You that's good for us. But I mean, I guess the Bears feel like he's our guy and he's going to be running the show, and the NFL says, "No, Matt Ryan technically is running the show." It's a little strange.
All right, 2:00, man. Make sure you're here with Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. All these things and much more we'll dive into. All right. Appreciate you guys being here behind the curtain. We'll talk to you at 2:00.